Hello everyone. I am going to show you the picture that we're going to be doing. So this is a picture that I took in Lake Tahoe. So I used a large brush that can fit into my cup of water. And I'm just going to spread it across. It doesn't need to be soaking, just a little bit wet. You don't really have to do this, but it sort of primes the canvas for the paint that we're going to be putting on it. It helps spread better. The background is blue. So the blues that I'm going to use are, I'm going to start with the primary blue and then use a lot more of this cerulean blue hue that I have. And if you only have a primary blue, that works perfectly fine. And just mix it with white. We're going to be making a gradient. It starts out really dark and then goes lighter, lighter, lighter. This area is going to mostly be the ground, and the trees will be here. So it's mainly just this area that we're focusing on. So this is what it's going to look like. Okay, so start with your primary blue. And if you want, this is about the right shade, but just to make it a little bit thicker, I'm probably going to mix it in a little bit with my cerulean blue, which is making this really, really nice color. So you just mix them together. And try to do horizontal brush strokes. As you move down the canvas, make it lighter and lighter. So I'm going to be doing that with the white. If you have a lighter blue with you, then you can do that if it's a similar hue. You just add in a little bit of white at a time. See, I'm just doing gentle strokes, and then as you're trying to blend the colors, just gently brush up. And as it goes toward the middle of the canvas, it has a it's very, very light blue. At the halfway point, we're going to paint the mountains, which are really subtle, but they're there. Okay, now I'm at this halfway mark, and this is where we're going to be painting the mountains. So what I do for the mountains, I take the cerulean blue that I have, or make a very grayish blue tone. So I'm going to take this. I have a little bit left in here from the sky. And I'm going to use a smaller brush. So I'm using this brush. It's about as big as my nail. And I'm going to take that cerulean blue that I made. That I had. And I'm going to make a different shade. I'm going to mix it with a lot of white. So make sure you have a lot of white and mix in only a little bit of blue. So as you go across, make sure that you can see the difference in color. So I'm going to go straight across. And as thick as I made this line, probably as thick as the mountains are. So for this area, there's also a little bit of the lake, of Lake Tahoe. So that blue, I'm going to use the cerulean blue that I was using just before. And this is going to be a little bit of a deeper color. So I'm going to add in a little blue to the mountains that I just made. So this was the color that I used for the mountains, really, really light. And this is the blue that I made, the cerulean, the white, and this is the color that I'm making now. So this is like it wasn't really white, it was white, and then I made it into the color for the mountains. Now I'm blending it. Looks a little more blue than the other one. But you can see the difference between the color of the blue for the sky and the blue for the sea. I'm probably going to add in a little more blue. Yeah, there you go. There's a difference. Try to make it blend between the mountains and the sea. And then use your larger brush, and then you could be as rough as you were in the top. You're not going to really be able to see this part. This is the part with the trees. But we're giving it a base color. So, for the clouds, same colors that we had, just more white. About the color that you were doing for the mountains, because that was the lightest area, we're going to add more white to that. And I like to make sure that it has the color of the blue that's in the background.
Mariah, what brush are you using?
Sorry, the same brush that I was using for the mountains, I'm using for the clouds.
Okay.
If the color's still a little wet, that's good, because then we're getting some of that blue inside of it. I feel like these clouds are a little more wispy rather than fluffy, so I'm just spreading them out. Alright, so there are a couple of clouds that are just like little specks. So I'd say just like do some dots. And you can spread them out, and they really don't need to be even. So I don't think I'm going to do any more because I might do so many that I'll feel like it's messed up. The next colors we're going to need for the trees and everything else, we're basically done with the blue unless you want to do touch-ups or anything. We're going to need for the bark white and brown and a little yellow, but let's add that in later if we feel like we need it. So like I said, I'm using a burnt umber that I showed in the beginning, Company Basics. So add a little bit of brown and a lot of white. Either this brush or this brush would work. So try to go as straight as possible. I'm actually going to start from the top and then go down. This tree has this very strange look to it. Then this tree, I can't see where it ends. It just ends with the picture. So we're going to end it at the bottom. Just like the other one, I just went straight to the bottom of the canvas. On the other side, the bark is actually really dark. So what we're going to do is we're going to keep some of that burnt umber brown that we had before, and then we're going to take some black. And we're going to mix that with the brown. And it's a very dark color, so if it looks dark brown or if it looks more black, that's fine. Try to either get a feathered brush or a thick brush. I'm going to show you. So this is a feathered type of brush. And this would be thick type of brush that I'm talking about. So this one or this one. Alright? A little more thicker. And what you're going to do is we're going to take the greens and we're going to mix it with the colors that we made for the bark. I actually don't think I've ever painted a tree, so full tree. So I'm using the sap green, and I'm going to use I'm going to start with the feathered brush, and if you don't have one, do not worry, because I'm also going to show you how to do it with the thicker brush. So I'm taking the green, and I'm mixing it with the lighter color that I used for the bark. Deep enough green. I want to make it a forest green. So I mixed in some black with the green, and then I'm mixing in it with a little bit of that color. So I just took the sap green that I had, and I added in a little more black. I was thinking thicker brushes would be better because it also spreads itself out to get the leafy colors, but maybe if you use a small thin brush, it would take a lot longer, but you can get the individual leaves more. I'm going to use this brush. Like I said, we're going to add it in later so it's going to look like it's more shaded. But right now, since it's so wet, if I start making it darker, it's just all going to blend in. Don't be afraid to switch out your brushes. It's going to be a little more to clean, but it's really not a big deal. Make sure you have a brush that you're comfortable with, that you enjoy working with. I think that's really good if the bark is seen, because I don't think most trees are so thick that you're not able to see the bark. So if you're still able to see the bark, I think that's nice. If you want to make certain parts a little bit thicker, you can go in afterwards and do that. Making the color of these a little darker. If you want to just flick it, it could also work instead of dabbing, flicking. Then you could go into it after. I'm going to go back to my feathering brush because I think that gave a better impression of leaves than this is. Doesn't mean I can't, because I think that it still looks good, but I like the other better. Like I said, for these ones, I would just have your forest green, mix them in with a little bit of white, little bit. Put way too much white in this one. Sure. Okay. And then afterwards, we're going to add in, so this is a little lighter one. We're going to add in some of the light green and some branches. At some point I'm going to switch over to the other brush, but I keep on just using this one. So. I also have that yellow that I spoke of before, and you could even add in a little bit of yellow if you wanted to make it lighter instead of adding in white, which would look super cool. How's it going?
Good, I guess.
Looks really nice.
Thank
you. When you're done, please send me a picture so I can see how it looks. I think the last picture that we did was really fun. Love it. And actually here, the more I see it, the more I don't like how it's looking. I think I should have done, we're going to add in so much green, you're not going to be able to see a background. So try to add in a lot. Try to separate it from the leaves, but you know what, if it blends in. So I would say that, okay, try to make as many trees as possible. And then the trees, and then the ground would be in this area. We can do that. Okay, once it's dried, most of it, I would put a lighter green and just put it through the spaces so it looks like the ground rather than looking like the sea. And you'll still be able to see the spaces, but try to, hopefully your brush is a little more on the dry side with only a very thin amount of paint, like whatever's left over type of paint, not new paint. And just go into it really subtly. I'm actually gonna do. Oh, I should not have done that. This is the. Yeah, you know what? It could vary. Ground is not always the same. All right. Now, I'm gonna keep on working on the trees. But we're gonna just literally just keep on layering and layering these trees. Okay, I'm gonna put in a little bit of my yellow. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna do the lighter green. So this light green is called green light. And then I also want to go back in with the color of the bark. going to use this brush. And then I also might use a feather brush again, but not right now. And some of my trees have already dried, so I'm just going in like that. All right. Okay, so that yellow, I'm going to go back and use that yellow again. And we're going to flick up to get some, no I know, but we're going to flick up and get to put in some grass. Okay, so now I did some of the branches on the lighter side. So now I'm gonna go into the dark side. No, I'm gonna go onto this side and then add in little branches. This side is much less noticeable if there's a branch there or not. But putting in some brown. I actually made the brown a little bit lighter, and I'm going in then another family member. I believe Rivka and Shelly. It's so pretty. I think you really like it. It's beautiful. Okay, I'm actually gonna take a step back. I want to see how it looks. Okay, I think it looks really cool. Rivka says she likes it. She's asking about my hair. Okay, there is. Some of these leaves I don't feel look fully right, so I'm gonna get some of that green and lighter green. Maybe. Yeah. Flicking out for this area. Some parts are dabbing, but I don't know, for some reason I don't feel like this one's showing really nicely, so I started flicking it out. Alright, I think I'm going to stop in a minute. I don't want to go too far. I think this looks really nice. Get on a couple more shadows. Oh, you know what I wanted to do? I wanted to take this lighter green and a little more yellow. No, you know, I'm not going to do the yellow. And I'm going to take the baby brush. This one I'm using right now. And I'm using a little bit of black. Good thing my mom has leftover black. And I'm going to sign my name. Beautiful colors that we've made. The palette, look at how pretty that is.